Broadcasting live from the Grey Havens on the plain of Arda, this is TapTapConcede. Welcome everybody to TapTapConcede. My name is Graham. Joining me is Cameron. And Kathleen.
Hooray!
And today we are doing a Q&A where we A some of your Qs. But before we get into that, a reminder, of course, that TapTapConcede is brought to you by Card Kingdom. Please check out cardkingdom.com/LRR for all of your cardboard needs. Pre-order yourself some Commander Masters if you can stomach it, or some, Lord of the Rings, whatever you feel like. Get yourself some singles. They'll ship singles anywhere in the world, and very, very fast. And I mentioned last time they have that cool deck builder that you can do, where you can just take a deck list and put it into their thing, and it'll be like, great, here it all is in paper, like super, super quick. And there's filters you can set, like the quality that your like minimum acceptable quality, or what printings you want, and all that.
Can you set your maximum acceptable quality so you can go the
cheapest possible? Yes. Yes, you can do that. And of course, if you tell them loading ready run sent me button, please, you'll get a little one-ish button, which I believe currently still says, I think we're just Dan here.
You can get your Dan together. You can get a Dan deck together while you're at Card Kingdom.
When we were at Magic Fest Minneapolis, Trick said that he'd made a green variant of Dan featuring Wild Mongrel, which so it was all centered around, because like you discard to Wild Mongrel to give it +1/+1.
Oh.
It's called Dog. He's testing it currently. We'll keep you posted. Also, this show and everything we do is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun, or by leaving super thanks here on the YouTube channel if you're watching it there.
I like that you can do super thanky things. Like, it's like, I mean, it's like monetization, like everything is. But I like that they're just like, look, this one has a ridiculous name.
Yeah,
we're leaning into it. I don't know. Give them a super thank.
Speaking of Commander Masters, before we get into the Q&A, what I was saying there was that the general consensus I'm seeing is looks cool, is very expensive, and it is. But if you want to see it in action, to maybe make a call on it, the pre-release for Commander Masters is coming up at time of airing of this episode this Friday, which at time of recording means a week from today.
Yeah, I got to edit that draft that we're going to be showing you.
We got Commander all day for you. We're going to be doing an 8-person draft, and then the way that it works normally with Commander Masters is, of course, or with like Commander Legends and a Commander draft format, is you do an 8-person draft and then divide into 2 pods of 4. So we're doing both games. You're going to get to see both games out of that draft, and then 4 players are also going to do a sealed build, and then we're going to do a sealed game as well. So 3 games of Commander that day on the PPR, plus other fun stuff, so you're going to want to tune in for that. The day prior is the full deck reveal for the Eldrazi Unbound deck, which will also be on this channel. That's on the 20th. A reminder that Commander Masters, being a master set, is all reprints. Some of them people have really been wanting for a while, and so there's no new cards in the main deck or in the main set, but they're in the 4 Commander decks. There are 40 new cards across them, so there's 10 new cards for each deck. So we'll show you all the reprints and all the new cards for the Eldrazi Unbound deck later this week.
Yeah, and some of those cards have names and flavor text.
Ooh.
Even old cards could have new flavor text.
Yeah.
So read it and appreciate it and think of your hardworking flavor text.
We did our spoiler video for Deadly Rollick, which people are very excited to see. I didn't realize I'm not as tuned in to like the Commander metagame and like what cards are worth.
What cards
not even
are
what they're
desirable.
worth, but like what cards are desirable or whatever. So I looked it up before doing the video, and Deadly Rollick had only been printed once in the Commander decks for Ikoria, which feel like got lost to time because they came out in April 2020.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, and it's just a free removal. It's right. It's like 4 mana or free if you control your commander, exile a creature, right? So it's only been printed once, and it's going on Card Kingdom for like $33. So it was a very good reprint. People are excited to see. It's a whole cycle. There's one in each color, and at least 1 or 2 others have been spoiled already. So I truly do not know. I assume the full the full cycle is in the thing. But people were also very excited to see that it hadn't been like upshifted to Mythic or something. It's rare. It's available there. Also, there's a new art version that's borderless featuring Judith from Ravnica with new flavor text from Kathleen on it, because Kathleen was on the creative text team for the set.
And I was like, oh, I love Judith.
Yeah.
I want to write flavor text for Judith. So I wrote a lot of suggestions for that.
There's a question about creative text actually coming up, which I think is a fine... Why am I picking up my phone? We can put them on the screen. Fine segue into... these are some questions. Now, we solicited these questions in two places. One is on the LRRMTG Twitter account, which still functions, but it's less and less every day. And from the LRRMTG Mastodon account over on kind.social. You can sign up on any Mastodon server you choose, but a bunch of us are over on kind.social if you want to check that out, including the Loading Ready Run and LRRMTG accounts as well. We got a lot of responses in both places, so it's a thriving community over there.
I'm constantly surprised by how popping off my Mastodon mentions are.
Yeah, it's great, and no one owns it, and there's no algorithm, so it is chronological timeline of people you follow only. It's great. Or hashtags you follow. For example, I follow the Magic the Gathering hashtag because why not? And there's a lot of interesting conversations going on in there, so that's cool. So yeah, we asked for questions in both those places, and James, so you can blame him, picked the questions, and he was trying to be very fair. So there's 5 from Twitter and 5 from Mastodon. And let's get into it. First question on the day is from David. How do you think the upcoming standard sets will handle the consequences of the Phyrexian invasion, and how would you want them to handle it? I want them to handle it well.
Yeah.
Good. Next question.
Yeah.
I imagine that we're going to get into a lot of story beats that are dealing with that.
Yeah.
I don't know, because we know that Eldraine... We know that the Kenriths are dead, and the courts are all decimated, right? So I assume that they're going to be getting... I assume that will give them a lens to go back to previous planes, and without being like, there's a big conflict here, they can show that they have changed some way, and they can show a new sort of organizational lens over things, or maybe new factions are in power, and that allows them to sort of reinterpret mechanics so they can go back without necessarily... wrecking a place in the set.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to imagine that all of these places are now suddenly aware that there's a multiverse, and that multiverse can be extremely dangerous.
Yeah,
and that elements of their societies decided that was awesome and that they were all in with it, and that didn't work out so hot. So, you have the immediate after effects of this devastating war, right? Where, as it turns out, you can't trust a lot of people, but you have to now present, you have this recontextualization, right? It would be like first contact for humanity, right, with an alien species. And it's by its nature going to change how you interact with your universe if suddenly you realize that you are part of a much larger interplanar society that is developing. So, you have that, right? You also have the fact that people are just going to go to Kamigawa and be like, wow, this place rules.
Yeah, I was thinking there's going to be a lot of restaurant guides that quickly get published.
Yeah, exactly. Right? A motorcycle on Eldraine is going to be like, well, this is a great idea.
Whoa, this rips.
Yeah. So we're all going to be wearing I don't know, Kamigawan blue jeans and listening to their rock music. But I really like the idea that each of these places will bring its own mechanical influence to that, right? What if on Ravnica people are suddenly aware that the guilds aren't this ever ultimately magically stable, ever-present, unshakable thing?
Well, I mean, part of the reason that the Ravnican guilds are this surprisingly resilient thing is because I was doing some reading into Ravnica, and apparently there is like the actual plane of Ravnica has magic that runs through it that funnels the cooperation of the guilds.
Right. Yeah.
And like it's like literally built on like cooperative magic, which is why it's so stable despite what everything is happening, which I think is interesting.
Well, it's a very kind of like dystopian interpretation of cooperation.
Yes.
Right? Where it reminds me a bit of Orwell writing it in the immediate aftermath of the Second World War, talking about like, the nuclear weapons will result in these hideously stable states that haven't been seen since antiquity.
Right. Because everybody will be too afraid to interrupt the status quo, essentially.
Right. But what if people on Ravnica are suddenly like, wait.
We could just go somewhere else.
Yeah, we can just go somewhere else. We don't have to live like this.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm saying upheaval.
Yeah, well, I mean, in Ravnica's case, literally, they were the Realm Breaker literally raised parts of the Undercity, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah,
it's not where they made all their food or anything.
No. Yeah.
I mean, the next set is called Wilds of Eldraine because, as you said, the courts are in shambles, and so we're now getting to explore the wilds of Eldraine beyond, not that we didn't go into like, the swamps and the forests and stuff before, but now we're apparently going even further beyond those realms where it's, it's, at least that's from what little they've told us about the set. That's the impression that I have.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. That there's kind of like this fey unformed place.
Yeah. And also, wasn't Garrick watching over or hanging out with the Kenriths? And wasn't he just absent from everything to do with the invasion?
Sir not appearing in this invasion?
Yeah.
Yeah, the safest place to be is off stage.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't have room for everyone.
Though, I know. Right? But I mean, he's Garrick, right?
Yeah. And I'm also trying not to like fall into the trap of immediately post-Soviet collapse, liberalism triumphs. It's the end of history. It's going to be like this forever.
Mm-hmm.
In space.
I saw a meme that was just history as Mo.
Oh, yeah.
Or as Barney and Francis Fukuyama as
throwing him out of the bar.
Throwing him out of the bar, I think comes back.
Yeah. I also really like the one of Francis Fukuyama pointing a gun at you, saying like, end history, I am no longer asking.
Yeah. We think it'll be exciting. We don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good chance to go back to a new plane with a new twist, or an old favorite with a new twist.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm also really excited for Tezzeret to like come out of his bunker, having assumed that the multiverse was going to be absolutely flattened, and that he was in this completely unassailable place.
Oh, and a fucking ether-born tourist comes up to him and says, "Wow, I've never gotten here before." Right?
Yeah.
I just think certain types of multiversal beings would be more open to a multiplanar tourism, and I think etherborn, because they don't technically need to eat or breathe,
right,
would be very like would make good travelers, and they love new experiences.
Yeah.
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 I mean, the cards are literally called Live Fast, Die Young.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
No, I got sucked into a whirlpool. Oh, well.
Yeah. All right. Next question. This is from an innocuous blue cube who asks, what's the thought process behind picking up a preset deck list to play with, and are there any things to look forward to see if you'll gel with it? As a stubborn beginner, I'm often left trying to figure out what the deck's even meant to do. Interesting. What's the thought process behind picking up a preset deck list? I remember when we started getting into Magic, there was like a lot more derision about the concept of net decking. Mm-hmm. There was like this notion that for Magic to be,
pure.
a pure expression of the game, that you had to brew your own decks. Mm-hmm. This is among, I would say that this was among like intermediates, right?
Yeah.
If it makes sense, that like beginners were like, oh cool, a deck list, great, I'll grab it and play it. And the intermediate people were like, not brewing your own deck. And then the pros were like, no, we obviously take each other's deck lists. That's what are you mad?
Yeah. Do you want to win?
you think everything happens in a vacuum? Yeah. So I don't know what you mean necessarily by what's the thought process behind it, but you should. I mean, you should. There's so many deck lists out there.
As a consummate net decker, because I'm not a brewer, I just like to play. Mm-hmm. I just like to play. First of all, I try to pick a deck in colors that I like, which for me is usually black, some sort of black base. So if you have a favorite color, play that color, which this sounds like ridiculous advice, but, you're going to be much happier, right? Playing cards that you sort of enjoy playing with. And then basically, if you are picking a deck list and it comes from any kind of website or anything like that, it might have a write-up on what the sort of game plan is, right? But you could just read all the cards and, look at all of the abilities and say, oh, okay, this card cares about getting +1/+1 counters. This card can move +1/+1 counters. This card is a combat and you sort of basically most decks will have some sort of synergy. There's not too many decks. They're just, here's the piles of all the most relevant cards, but some of them are. In that case, play powerful cards, win game.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, I'll tell you, anytime there's like a special event on Arena, like one of the free midweek Magic things, or even the thing that's like you buy in for 2,000 gold and you win some fancy looking basics or whatever, like there is right now. There's the 2 command towers thing. I just Google the name. Well, I actually use DuckDuckGo, but anyway, the point is I use internet search to just of the name of the event on Arena. And then I get the result usually from EtherHub or MTGA Zone is a big one. And they're like, yep, this event is happening. Here's how you play the event. And here's like 10 options for deck lists. And I just sort of look through them and it'll be like, this deck wants to, it'll be like one sentence. It'll be like, this is an aggressive red deck. Oh, okay, cool. This is a green-black counters deck. And I'll be like, oh, okay, that sounds fun. And I'll just huck that in my thing, and usually it takes me like 1 or 2 wild cards to continue fleshing it out. Your mileage may vary. I have a lot of wild cards kicking around because I only play limited, except for these situations, and then I just jam in the thing. Knowing what a deck is trying to do is you sort of have to either like suss that out or ask somebody or hope that wherever you got the deck list from explains it, or you just sort of play with it, and then you kind of if you have that opportunity, if you have the cards or the wild cards if you're playing in paper arena, and then you'll sort of realize like, oh, wait a minute, this thing synergizes with this thing, and oh, I get it now,
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a sort of, you just got to get in there and give it a shot.
Yeah, your favorite content creators probably have also put out deck lists. Like I know that we put out commander deck lists for PPRs and stuff like that. And like, speaking of PPRs, the last PPR we had Chase, Mana Curves, and Power Dragon on, and both of them put out deck lists fairly frequently for different formats and stuff like that. So find a content creator that is making content for the format that you're wanting to play, and see what they're putting out there. And maybe you don't love their builds, and that's okay,
Yeah. Find someone you vibe with.
Yeah, exactly.
Next question from Duck Squawk. Given you have all now had experience on the creative text team at Wizards of the Coast, what is a previous set from Magic history that you wish you had been on that team for? Ooh.
Lorwyn.
Fallen Empires. I don't know. I love the conceit of all of the flavor text in Fallen Empires being taken from histories. I just love that. It's when you're reading a fantasy novel or a science fiction novel and there's an epigram in it from like some kind of historical treatise set in universe, right? And I'm just like, yes, yeah, it's the Vince McMahon like meme progression, like when there's an epigram in your sci-fi text, when it's from an in-universe historical text, when it references a battle that is not mentioned at all in the story whatsoever, when it's in iambic pentameter, right? Like,
I love stuff like that. I love big universe lore telling where it's just there's just you reference other things that don't get expounded upon, that they're way over there, and then they just make the world feel very big. And then later, as Magic loves to do, you can then later revisit them, right? Like eventually you can give Esmeralda Mardica into Kuldakar her own card, right? Where she was just a person who wrote stuff referenced on earlier things, and then eventually
Basalt Gargoyle,
it's something like that.
Yeah.
I think there was 2 cards or something. Yeah. And it's I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the Love Song of Night and Day in Mirage.
Yeah.
I think.
And then that's the saga.
Yeah, and then it becomes a saga. Brilliant.
Very cool.
I haven't answered. I can't think of one offhand. You guys both had answers just like immediately.
Well, it's just like Lorwyn has like.
It's very you.
It's like if somebody had to make up names that sounded like Ungleblatt Snarpthieper. Like.
I think it's a Shadow or Eventide. I think it's Eventide has one of my favorite card names of all time, which is Gravelgill Axe Shark. I can't believe that they printed that one in all seriousness. I think it beats out Plaxcaster Frogling. But yeah, Gravelgill Axe Shark is such a good name.
I saw Gravelgill Axe Shark when they played the curling club. They sucked.
Shadowmoor. All right.
Shadowmoor. Yeah.
Yeah. And like who's Terran? Right? Their sharp scales would make good armor if they just stayed dead, says Terran Cinder Armor Keep. Right?
Yeah.
Let's learn more about Terran sometime.
Give me that contextless depth.
Yeah. Big fan.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll say unstable, a previous unset. Why not? I had fun on Infinity.
Yeah, I don't know. Flavor text just feels like, what's the stuff you scrape off the bottom of a pot with red wine in order to make a roux, like a sauce?
Roux?
Not a roux. It's
Like the stuff you put into the sauce.
like when you're
you get the
deglazing?
yeah, deglazing a pot.
Yeah.
The burnt and the leavings.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
You know, it's like the same flavors that you get in the meal that you're preparing, but they've been deepened and sweetened.
yeah.
Ooh, I love that. All right.
It's almost like it's some kind of flavor text. Very good, Cameron. You got there in the end.
Next, from King of Doma, any properties you think absolutely should not be made into a Universes Beyond set?
Dead or Alive beach volleyball.
Not even just Dead or Alive, specifically the beach volleyball.
But they could have a gift giving mechanic
I would agree with that.
and stickers.
Yeah.
If I ever have to play someone's Captain America Commander deck, no, I mean not even. It's probably fine. It's actually probably totally fine.
Probably. They probably wouldn't do. I think
don't
we've said
they
this
could
before.
afford the licensing. Yeah.
Well,
no,
also
Disney would also just make their own card game.
well, which they are.
Yeah.
Right. Lorcana is upon us.
Yeah.
Let's look around the room here real quick.
Choose
Things
your
that I
own
don't
adventure.
The thing is, I keep looking at things like Power Rangers. No, that would work.
Yeah,
Dune.
like-
No,
Yeah, I mean, it's
that would
already
rule.
been anything that's already been adapted successfully won't be on our set.
I kind of want. I mean, I would kind of want a Magical Girls set.
That'd be the Sailor Moon.
Yeah, Sailor Moon.
I just saw
Miyazaki.
I just saw Nightmare, and I was like, no, I would unironically
Yeah,
buy that.
I would wrestling.
Yeah.
WWE. Yeah.
Yeah, it's you have to think of a really odious property.
Yeah.
Or just something that's like so inappropriate.
Civilization.
Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
I don't think that would fly.
Oh, there's not enough good
The
ideas.
problem is that most of the things on our shelves are actually things that we like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't
So
don't look
looking
at the
around
shelves. Yeah, I had not seen this question at all, but Dead or Alive beach volleyball leapt into my mind.
Yeah, that was
It
amazing.
like two neurons clacked together and said, "Oh God, we've been preparing for this moment." Yeah, and then right to the mouth.
Perfect. All right. Great.
I think that's honestly a good answer.
Yeah.
Was Trapped in the Closet. Trapped in the Closet versus Universe
Oh my
Beyond
God.
set.
Yeah. For a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
All right. Next, from Addison Fox, what archetypes do you never get sick of drafting, whether you have a specific format or something more universal in mind?
The Aristocrats.
I mean, honestly, yeah. I love doing red-black sacrifice stuff in draft if it can come together, right?
Yeah, I love blue-black control if it can come together, which it can in Lord of the Rings, and it's so exciting. I drafted a deck with so many like counter and kill spells and stuff like that. I almost forgot to take actual like creatures that did things.
Ooh, I love decks like that.
It's fine. I ended up with like a Kirith Ungol patrol and like the troll and stuff like that. So it's like, well, I've got big creatures.
It's like you're putting the deck together and you look at your creature count, it's like 7, and you're like, uh-oh.
Oh no, yeah, it was like that. But then but I also had like 9 cards that amassed, so I had plenty of dudes. I should have
All right.
taken the trebuchet though.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Trebucket's great.
Yeah,
good.
people are like meh on Trebucket, and I'm like, no, Trebucket is amazing if you have orcs because you just get to ping them for 2.
Bucket's
Yeah, and then like all of any sack outlet loves the Trebucket.
Yeah. And also like it loves to eat ring bearers.
Yeah.
Delicious.
The other archetype I like is usually it's a wizard's typal deck where spells matter.
Oh,
was
I
gonna
love
say,
that. That's so fun.
So
Mine is
basically
the Is It Spells deck.
I guess I'm into A plus B plus C decks that just die to getting overrun by a giant D.
I'm a big Jesus. Wow. I'm a big fan of like the Is It Spells deck with stuff like Thermo Alchemist and like even like in Lord of the Rings the Erebor Flamesmith, like the things that give you extra value, preferably damage, for casting the spells that you already want to cast anyway.
There's a red blue piker from Brothers War called Third Path Iconoclast.
Yep.
Oh, that card's so good.
Brand new lander, young Peasy, all star. I also really like the Kenra from March of the Machines. That flips into like the
Oh,
big
yeah, yeah.
double
Prowess.
prowess.
that card-
Oh man, I was playing in a limited event where I had one of those guys out and was just like, chipping in for damage, and the opponent was having to commit more and more to the board in order to like counter it, and finally got to the point where I couldn't attack with it, so I played the battle that pinged everything for 4, or that hits everything for 4. Prowess, toughness 5. Lived through my own board wipe, and it was like,
Now I kill you.
That deck, the Is It Spells deck from Return to Ravnica block, with the mechanic named Jumpstart, not the expansion, but Jumpstart, and doing that particular Is It thing was very, very fun. Actually, also in that set was the blue-black control deck with Disinformation Campaign. That whenever you surveilled, you could return it to your hand. How does James? I'm sorry. Could you bring up Disinformation Campaign? Now that we have internet and can do that, there was the. It was, when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card. Each opponent discards a card, and then when you surveil, you put it back in your hand.
Yeah.
Right. So you just dismantle their hand, and you just you smooth out your draws, and then you cast Devious Cover-Up, the 4-mana counter that puts 4 cards from your graveyard back into your library.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, that deck
nothing-
was silly.
Nothing makes you feel like a galaxy brain more than doing blue-black shenanigans.
It's
And
good stuff.
despite not liking the format much, I still really enjoy the Scry deck in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Tales from Middle-earth,
It's
Magic
fun.
the Gathering, a Richard Garfield gaming experience.
Did you see there was a question on Tom Scott's
No.
Lateral podcast recently, the most recent episode of it. I saw the clip on TikTok actually about the Deckmaster card back. It was like some playing cards released in 1993 had like a misprint, like some blue ballpoint, and it has never. Why has it never been corrected? Right. This podcast is like they ask like very broad questions about one specific piece of trivia, and then everyone has to suss out what it is, right? And so people are sort of working out like, finally they center in on like that it's Magic the Gathering, but then like why wouldn't it have been changed? And it's like because they've updated the logo of the game, and that's still the same on the card back. Why is that? And it's it's the consistency of so that all the cards
Are not
look the
virtually
same.
marked.
But apparently, and I've always thought this was the case, apparently that is an apocryphal story.
Yeah, I've heard that too,
Because
because like,
actually ballpoint pen.
No, it's meant to look like marble.
that's what I
Which is
always
what
thought.
I always thought it was, and then I heard someone say that it's like, oh no, it's actually
A pen mark.
like
yeah.
a pen mark, and that was just sort of generally accepted. But
That wouldn't
Yeah.
have even got through quality control in 1993. Also, what a great time capsule of design we have here, because you can see the Magic card back. And it's just
Yeah, I can
all
smell
of
the
these
comic
textures.
shop that I was in when
Yeah.
I was in 1993.
Yeah.
Look, we figured out how to render granite.
all right, next question from Cornbread Craver 19. Any news about Friday nights? Yes, if you missed the YouTube update, which if you only follow stuff on this channel, you could easily miss because, of course, it was on our main channel. That the intent had been to film Friday nights already. The plan at the beginning of the year was to film the season of Friday nights in May because that was a great block of time between PPRs and conventions and various other commitments that we had. And then we moved, and unfortunately, the Moonbase move was unpredictable. We couldn't pin down exactly when the moving was going to be happening, and prior to, we had to pack up all the previous Moonbase and get all our ducks in a row so that as soon as we got in here, we could hit the ground running, which would have worked great if it wasn't for the internet. And so it wasn't able to happen when we wanted it. And so rather than trying to find an awkward hole of time
to sort of cram it in.
Yeah, to cram it in or like spread it out over a couple different sort of shooting things. The plan now is that in early fall, probably September-ish, is when we're going to launch the crowdfunding campaign for it, and then we'll do pre-production. You won't see this part of it in the fall, and then actual production, which is say photography, filming the season, will be happening in January. So we're this wasn't what we wanted either, but there were a bunch of, as I mentioned in the update as well, there was just some personal stuff in people's lives, and primarily this move that just made the whole thing a real challenge. So it's still on the docket, and we can't wait to do it. I'm really excited to do more Friday nights. So yes, there is more news. There you go. Next. Lastabond asks, what's the weirdest MTG merch or item you own in the office?
Oh, we've got so much weird stuff.
We have a Lexan Double Masters 2022 expansion symbol that's like this big.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
And
very shiny.
Yeah, and you can pull the front off, and there were booster packs in it. It's not even that thick. You wouldn't have thought that you could do that, but it's like magnet sealed.
Yeah, it's like a secret compartment.
Wait, no, I know. It's the Secret Lair cornhole.
Oh, yes.
Without question, it's the Secret Lair.
Yeah, we have a Secret Lair branded cornhole set.
Yeah. Which is
fun.
Yeah.
Right? Like, cool. Honestly, enjoyable.
Secret Lair cornhole. I had no idea what cornhole was.
Yeah.
Other than Americans cornhole on
Labor Day
at the fair.
Yeah.
For those keeping score at home, if you're unaware, it's the game where there's an inclined board, or in this case a collapsible fabric thing, with a hole in it, and you have a beanbag, and you chuck the bean from a distance. You chuck the beanbag at the hole, and you try to get it straight in. But if you can get it to like land on the board and slide up and in, and it's a competitive, you go back and forth, and there's points. And anyway, but for whatever reason, it's called cornhole. And yeah, last summer they were doing their like Secret Lair Summer of Awesome or whatever it was called, and they sent us this. It was like a cooler with like this wood Secret Lair cladding, and inside it was like a drink mixing set, and this like collapsible Secret Lair cornhole with beanbags.
It's like American curling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's got to be one of the weirdest things we have. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, the floor on weird objects in this office is so preposterously high that it's kind of meaningless.
Yeah.
We have a New Capenna, we have a piece of New Capenna stemware that came with like blue edible glitter that you're supposed to mix in with water to make it look like you're drinking Halo.
We also have just like a mixed media collage piece that just says bees with an exclamation point.
Yeah, that's not magic related. But
No, it's not magic related, but I don't know what it's related to or why we have it. I mean, it was obviously sent to us and it's cool, so it's like up in our office, but I'm like, what is the meaning of this?
yeah. Next. From Matty Raphael. Or Matty, pardon me. There's been a lot of Booster Fun variants. Do you guys have a particular treatment that is your favorite? Ooh.
I really like the ones that I've seen from Commander Masters so far. The ones where it's like the legendary creature in profile.
Oh,
Those
yeah.
are cool.
portraits.
Yeah.
They're meant to be like evocative, high contrast portraits with flavor text that is like quotes from the character that is on the card.
I mean, they remind me a bit, and I'm going a little outside the lines here, but in Warhammer 40K, many years ago, there's an army called the Imperial Guard, which are just like baseline humans. And in Warhammer 40K, their equivalent of legendary creatures are called special characters, who are named characters from the setting that you can put into your army. And for the Imperial Guard Codex, in one edition, all of the artwork for them was in the style of like a Napoleonic portrait of the character. So, but the nature of the setting was that it was kind of like all these techno-barbarians who like had to put on this uniform with frogging and epaulets and sit still for a portrait. It's like, where should I look? It's like off in the distance. What am I looking at? Something that makes you feel calm, right?
Wow. I'm a big fan of the storybook treatment from original Eldraine. Not just the border, but the art style that was a part of it.
Yeah,
it was
kind of like very
like wispy.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. Very sort of ethereal kind of stuff. Oakham Ranger, the one that's like, it was like
There you go.
for Selesnya, right? It's very, very cool.
All those filigree, viney bits.
Yeah, and the storybook thing with the adventure on one side and the other thing on the other side. I like that a lot.
yeah, no, you're right. Yeah.
What was the Kamigawa ones were pretty cool. I'm trying to think of what other. Actually, I quite like the Ravnica, the sort of the like retroactively created Ravnica showcase frame that they made for the March of the Machine bonus sheet, where you have all the sort of Prague inspired, not
Like
Prague,
roof-
yes, Prague,
roof line?
yes.
Yeah.
Architecture, all the roof lines and stuff, and like the color of the roofs and the buildings change depending on the color of the creatures. So like
Tesa
Teysa or Judith.
Judith, yeah.
Just if James is looking for.
We love Tesa. We love Judith around here.
Yeah. Big fans of both of those. I want to see if
Iconic ladies. Getting it done.
James is scrambling to find. I think I can't see.
For certain values of it.
Yeah.
I am looking, but I don't see them.
Look
on
for like alternate
Scryfall.
printings of Teysa Karlov. Because I'm pretty sure it was just Teysa Karlov. Maybe it was
Was
a
it
different
Judith?
Teysa.
It's currently not helping that Scryfall is not responding.
Oh, Scryfall's under maintenance right now, isn't it?
Oh.
Oh, well, bad time to record a podcast.
Joke's on us. Well, you'll just have to imagine the art.
Yeah.
Like our audio-only listeners are.
Yeah. Do like them. Also, there we go.
No, he's got it. Okay. Oh, yeah, and the Muka-inspired design on those cards are incredible.
Right, yes,
of course,
they're all
he is also
Muka-inspired. Yes.
from Prague,
Yes.
which is the city that inspired Ravnica.
And the cobblestones behind the text box.
Yeah, I love that texture in Animal Crossing.
Very cool.
Yeah, the Animal Crossing inspired.
Yeah.
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 Oh, you know what? I'd like to. That is an inappropriate Magic set. Animal Crossing.
You think so?
Yeah.
Well, because Magic's all about battling,
Yeah.
and Animal Crossing is much more like peaceful than that. I feel like they're. It's not that there isn't lots of good characters that you could put in and stuff like that.
I would feel weird dismembering, like
Tom Nook.
Yeah.
Right. Like the
Bad example. But Isabel.
Cherry.
Yeah.
yeah.
Sherb. Oh,
Poor Sherb.
No.
right. Like we could. Yeah. It's just that the philosophies of the two franchises lack sufficient alignment. Mm-hmm. The vibes are off.
Yeah, the vibes are off.
The vibes are off.
Yeah.
All right, next question. From, Secret Agent P. There we go. Sorry, there was some leet in there. With the price of Magic exceeding many players' budgets now, has Magic become a game for content creators and investors more than the actual players? That's an interesting question. I think it's a good question to ask because, it's prices are going up. Prices of everything are going up. Prices of Magic are going up. So I'm not trying to excuse Magic. I don't think it's becoming a game for content creators and investors more than actual players. But it does not surprise me that there are not actual players. First of all, content creators are also actual players.
Yeah, that's most of the reason why we all...
legitimately play Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
Investors, that's a different thing. Surely there's better things to invest in. Surely you get a better rate of return on something
you
than
put your
investing
fucking money in the bank or pay taxes on it like a normal fucking person. I mean,
we try not to swear on the Magic content. But
sometimes
you did it earlier. Anyway, I agree with the sentiment, though. Where was I going with that? Right, I got distracted by actual players. I think that there are, I would say, a significant number of players that are finding it harder to buy stuff just because there is so much of it, and it is, the costs are going up, and I mean, everyone's feeling pinched on everything these days, and it's like, well, if something's got to give, it's probably going to be leisure. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't love the framing of your question, though I agree that Magic is getting too expensive. Is that a valid response?
I feel that my response is that Magic is very expensive, but you do not have to buy the expensive Magic cards to have a good time playing Magic.
No, you sure don't.
You can play with your local play group. You can put together commander decks. You can make a cube, and like all of this requires some sort of outlay of money. But you probably have Magic cards around already, right? So I'm not saying that you have to drop $2,000 making a cube and then you're done buying Magic cards. What I'm saying is you can kind of use what you have and brew some janky kitchen table decks, because unless you're making content or going to the pro tour or something like that, you don't necessarily need to keep up on every trend, right? You don't need to play everything. Just play what you like. You love Original Conspiracy, those cards are out there. That's great. You can still keep playing it. You don't have to stop.
I mean, you're fully free to play on Arena.
I am I will never put money into too cheap. Well, I do paying other things, right? Penelope was asking me the other day. She's like, "What's all this stuff in Marvel Snap?" And I was like, "Well, that's them trying to get you to pay money." And she's like, "Oh, real money? Do you not pay?" And I was like, "No, I'm not giving them any money because I'm using my money to pay for our house and our food, Penelope. Right? Yeah. I don't have money to be putting into a million little games."
No.
So, yeah, but you can play free-to-play on Arena as long as you like playing standard or some kind of format that lets you grind out dailies, which I don't mind. And so I just make some janky standard decks for my draft winnings, and I don't have an incredible collection, but it's not bad.
You keep on top of whenever there's stonks in the store?
Oh, yeah, I always get my stonks, and yeah, I've got 10,000 gems right now. I've put zero money into the game. And I've had more gems than that because if I know I'm going to have a lot of time to play, I'll buy the Mastery Pass as well to sort of keep my value going.
So, yeah, I don't know. Cameron, do you have thoughts on that?
I mean, I'm a content creator. I don't have a lot of money to put into Magic, but I still enjoy playing it, right? Yeah, I mean, I guess as a content creator, I get to play a limited game of Magic every couple of months for the PPR for free.
That's true.
Yeah.
But pre-releases are not expensive to go to.
So I think some of this is something that we've hit on before, which is Wizards has. This is a point Wizards has made before, which is well, this product might not be for you. And they've received some amount of derision for that, which I don't think is necessarily wholly unreasonable. But I don't think any individual Magic player should be engaging with every one of these endless products they're releasing. I think that's an actively bad idea.
Yeah.
For certainly monetarily, right? And so I think that you want to sort of decide how you are engaging with the game, and only do it that way. Like you might not have to pay attention to Commander Masters at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if
Maybe
anything
there's
else,
some singles you pick up later.
yeah, because they're cheaper now because the Commander Masters came out, and hopefully that's the case, right? But like, but maybe you just ignore Lord of the Rings because you don't
'Cause
need
you don't
to.
care.
Yeah, I encourage people to. This is weird from a Magic podcast on a Magic channel where we make a ton of content about Magic. I encourage you to care a little less about it. Right? Like just do what you enjoy, and if trying to if you're finding it too expensive or you are stressing out about all the endless trough of product that Wizards is releasing, pump your brakes a little bit and refocus. I'm not saying don't play the game. I just, do it in a way that doesn't cost you so much money.
Yeah,
I guess.
Magic should be fun for you, and if it's not
Yeah.
fun, take a bit of a break.
Yeah.
And then to make it fun again. I don't know.
I do think investing in Magic cards is a silly investment. There's got to be better ways to spend your money.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
If you want to
Messing it up for other people.
Yeah, if you really got to bet on something, why not buy stock?
Yeah. Though if I ever got my hands on a Lord of the Rings collector booster and opened a serialized Sol Ring, you think I'm not selling that for thousands of dollars to someone who wants to invest in a serialized Sol Ring? Oh no,
Yeah, I mean,
I will gladly accept your money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then on to what I think is the last question, though James can correct me if I'm wrong.
That is correct.
All right. From Ann Lurkin, who says, with the introduction of omen paths connecting different planes together, which non-planeswalker would you like to see in which plane living their best life?
Ooh. I'm always up to revisit what Gisa and Geralf are up to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we know from the March of the Machine story that the dead on Innistrad act differently than the dead on other planes.
Yeah.
So it could be interesting to see them try to do, Ghoul Calling and Stitching on other
Yeah.
other
And just being
planes.
like, what do you mean? What's illegal?
Yeah.
Also that.
Yeah. Well, it would be so depressing because, like, when Liliana went to Innistrad, she was just like, "Oh my God, I love it here." The dead are just like they want to come out of the ground. This is incredible, right? Like, I'm so powerful on this plane, right? But I can imagine Gisa and Geralf going to another plane and being like, "Ah, yeah," and they get like one rat skeleton or something like that, and they're just like,
Yeah, this place sucks.
"Oh." I could see Gisa having a real breakdown.
Yeah, skill issue.
I think
Oh my God! Writing prompt idea: the first multiversal necromantic conference,
I think
which Geralf organizes, but Gisa crashes. Obviously,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's in like some kind of airport motel on Kaladesh, say.
I love this.
I'd like to see a bunch of the Strixhaven students who I assume survived the invasion.
They all the your
students
main,
survived.
all your main. Well, not every student survived.
Well, not
presumably.
every student, but like
all your important ones that
Simone
have
and
names.
Ruth and Killian.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to see Killian, go to like Ravnica or somewhere where he'll be appreciated.
Well, Quintoria sparked.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
but the others
presumably
didn't.
we'll be seeing him some other
I
time.
hope so, yeah.
What else? Who else is like interesting? Who else is not appreciated on their home plane? Who would thrive somewhere else?
I'm trying to think of like maybe someone from like New Capenna,
Yeah.
Kaldheim. I'm just trying to think of each set and think of legendaries from that set, and then like
Ooh, I'd like to see some of like the like Yakuza style mob bosses of Kamigawa, getting new recruits for their cool motorcycle gangs on like
Yeah.
Kaladesh or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Greasefang goes to Kaladesh.
Yeah.
An interplanar racing league. Yeah.
Wacky races.
Oh, street racer themed, or a speed racer themed.
You got
Fast and the Furious universes beyond.
you've got Essica and Grease Fang and
who's the dwarven pilot?
oh,
Legendary.
DePaula.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's some others, I'm sure. Oh, that would be good.
Najal the Storm Runner.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
real fast.
just on foot.
That's the art. They're like,
Yeah.
they're sprinting.
Well, that's very funny. I like that a lot. Yeah, I don't know. That question more than any of them is given. There's too many good answers. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to think about that one. But I think for today, that does it for Tap Tap Concede. Thanks you everybody who submitted questions, even if we didn't get to yours specifically. Really appreciate it. Thanks for asking your cues. I hope you hope these were sufficient answers. Until next time, a reminder, of course, that this show is brought to you by you and your kind support of our Patreon at patreon.com/loadingreadyrun and by Card Kingdom. Please check out cardkingdom.com/LRR. We really appreciate it. Eldrazi Unbound deck reveal this Thursday, pre-release this Friday. Tune in for those. It's going to be a blast. The pre-release, of course, is live on the Twitch channel. I should have said this at the top of the show. 10 a.m. Pacific time on the Friday on twitch.tv/loadingreadyrun, but the replay will be here on YouTube/LRRMTG as soon as we can get it up there, which is usually a day or two, because it's just the file's real big is the main issue. So yeah, tune in for that. Until next time, I'm Graham, joined by Cameron and Kathleen. And James has been on tech. Heather Gesley's online. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye, everybody.